Okay, we got. Can Japan's new 4-day work week save them from extinction? Oh my god. From fads.
And okay, people need to start smashing it, and it's top priority for the government. The government of Tokyo has just announced that they're going to be launching a 4-day work week to boost.
Okay, so it's just Tokyo. Just the city. Gives workers 4-day work week to boost fertility and family time. I mean, regardless of what your intent is, I mean shit. 4-day work week. I mean that does sound pretty good, but like then I would have to ask, what are they doing on those 4 days? If it's like a 9 to 5, is it no longer a 9 to 5 on those 4 days? Did we just add like a couple more hours so they're still effectively just working 40 hours?
Fertility and family time, joining a list of over 20 countries who've trialed some form of 4-day work.
Although no country has fully adopted a 4-day work week, many of the countries below are experimenting with one or have a short average work week, 4-day work week pilot in Australia. In total, 26 companies took part in a 4-day work week trial. Austria. Okay, that was my mouse. Um, Short average work week, 36 hours, according to. God dang it. What is happening? Okay, my bad. Short average work week, 36 hours. Oh, so kind of you to take off 4 hours. Oh, has the sixth shortest average work week in the world, 35.5 hours. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So kind to take off 5 hours. Right to work 4 days, compressed. 4 10s. Okay, so you're not even doing anything. You're just it's still effectively a 40-hour work week. What a clown show.
Work week. The results of these trials have been described as boringly consistent.
Because they're still working 40 hours. That's why they're boringly consistent.
4-day workweek trials tend to result in increased productivity, the ability to attract and retain staff, and actually fewer sick days, which is kind of crazy. But Japan is actually like a slightly different country, and they have a bit more of an intense situation there. So I think it's actually worth covering what's going on. The reaction has been at best like cautiously optimistic, and at worst just super pessimistic. And there are some good reasons why. We've talked about birth rates before on the channel, and the situation is pretty dire if you aren't aware. Their population has been declining for 16 years straight, and they currently have around 1.26 births per woman, which is...
I mean, it's still in the green. So out of every 5 couples, they will have like one kid. But then, what is it? The 5th couple will probably have 2 kids, potentially 2 plus.
way below the 2.1 that you need to maintain a stable population.
Oh, I didn't know that. Everybody in Japan was just sick of this shit that the country's doing, it seems. So like, oh, you're not gonna do anything different? We're gonna stop having kids. How about that? Force me to have kids, stupid.
And is in fact one of the worst in the entire world.
Oh,
So I think this visual is the best way to highlight quite how bad the situation is in Japan. It plots deaths against births, and you can just see.
but then like right to the right of Japan was Korea, if you saw. And so what is that? Is that because like North Korea and South Korea are like 2 different things, but like on the whole, it's like one whole thing. So it's kind of funny that they just lumped North and South Korea as like one thing, and that's like the worst one. So, oh my god, that's hilarious, bro. I would do the same thing if I was living in Korea. Fuck you. I, I'm not bringing up a kid in this shithole. Nope, not happening.
The divergence between the two. We're at a stage where almost 2 people die for every person that's born in Japan. As birth rates shrink, you still have the elderly, and those elderly still need pensions, they still need social care, they still need healthcare. and they need people to provide all of these services for them. And without the tax revenue from younger workers, without the labor supply of younger workers, you have this whole generation of people who can't be supported in the way that they need to, right? And so you can expect poverty amongst the elderly to rise. You can expect economic activity to slow down. And that's a pretty big issue, even in the short term. Will a 4-day work week actually solve it? Let's find out.
No, it won't. The ship has massive holes in it and it is sinking. This 4-day work week is nothing. It's I was gonna say like it's a band-aid on like a massive hole, but I can't even say that because they're not even working less. They're working the same amount of hours. Like what are you guys doing? Like, I don't know anything about the like Japanese economy or anything like that. But if I were to guess, probably has something to do like good old graph that never did me wrong. Remember this thing? Wah, wah. Oh wow, I wonder where all the wealth is, guys. I wonder where all the wealth is. Probably over there. All the wealth is over here, and meanwhile, this is like 1/10 of the population. Meanwhile, this is like 99.9% of the population. So what's the only way that people can? What's the only thing people can do to protest the bullshit? Stop having kids. That's the easiest thing. You can't force me to have kids. You want to have kids? Go make some CRISPR babies or some bullshit. Go raid all of the female egg banks. Go raid all of the male sperm banks, and just go make some CRISPR babies. Go do that.
Let's find out. It's not like 4-day work weeks haven't been tried, because just a couple of years back, Panasonic also gave the option to their 63,000 employees in Japan. But of those 63,000 employees, a whopping 150 chose to take it up. That works out at about 0.23% of their company. 99.8% of their staff chose to stick with the 5-day work week.
Oh wow. You guys want to work 10 hours for 4 days? Or work 8 hours for 5 days? I don't know. It's just shit sandwich either way you fucking cut it, dude.
Because clearly they just...
Do you want if this is a shit sandwich, do you want to cut it like up and down? Do you want to cut it left and right? Or do you want to cut it on a diagonal? It don't matter. It's still a shit sandwich.
Enjoyed it and loved it so much. It wasn't necessarily that they don't want to work less, but they feel like they shouldn't or couldn't work less, even if the option was presented to them. The expectation and the literal pressure that's
kind of crazy that they couldn't even fathom like making more money. That thought doesn't even come into their head.
Based upon them is so intense that it can even override their desire for better working conditions. And I think it becomes a lot more clear when you develop a little bit of an understanding of Japanese work culture. This is an image of a Japanese salaryman passed out on the train, and is one of many, many, many images you can find of Japanese office workers just passed out across the city.
Damn.
Japanese work culture is very different to the work culture that you might be used to if you're not from East Asia. It's really heavily based in appearances rather than outcomes, whether it's, overly formal ways of giving.
Complete guide to business card in Japan. Choose your card cases carefully. Oh God, this seems like some American Psycho type shit. Think of business cards as the soul of the person. The person in the superior position exchanges first. Wait, the person in the superior exchanges first? Keep the received cards on the left side of the table and line them up in order. Bro, this is look at this over here. Look at this video. This is American Psycho. I called it before I even recognized it. This is like real life American Psycho.
People business cards, or more toxic parts of their work culture, such as the frequent expectation that young workers should go out drinking with their bosses on demand, a practice that is actually so common that it has a name in Japanese, nomikai. Loyalty is really important, and adhering to expectations is arguably even more important than adhering to the law. And this desire to live up to the
Yeah, I mean, I have like a little saying that I like to say, friends over morals or morals over friends. Are you so steadfast in your beliefs that you will throw away your friends and family because you think your morals are the most correct? Or will you simply forego your morals and ethics to just go along with your friends and family? Some people will say one while doing the other. This is just like a little thing I just made up. It's something I have seen more and more across my life. But yeah,
expectation of tradition is so all encompassing that it even like sadly leads to deaths, to the point where the Japanese also have a word for death from overwork, karoshi. It
damn.
encompasses like people who die of heart attacks or strokes from having spent too much time at work, or sadly in some cases people who take their own lives because of the intense pressures and the intense physical and mental toll
The
that
young Japanese working themselves to death.
Japanese work culture takes. It's actually common enough in Japan that the government collects statistics on it every year, and they publish the white paper on measures to prevent karoshi, where they actually...
Oh yeah, you bet everyone's lying on this shit. Bro, if this was me, you do not want to seem depressed, unstable, like suicidal tendencies. You do not want to look like that. You will lie your ass off on if you get one of these surveys.
try to like better understand why Japanese people are overworked to the point where...
Even if it says like answer honestly, nope, not getting it.
They like, literally drop down dead. This white paper is pretty crazy. And it also helps us understand why things have not gotten better in 16 years of straight population decline, right? Because this policy is not the first thing they've tried. In 2018, they tried to alleviate this problem by publishing a set of labor reforms in the wake of the death of a 24-year-old who took her own life after working hundreds of hours of overtime every month, and ended up ushering some reforms to place limits on how much overtime people could do and to actually require employers to do something about people dying from overwork.
Holy shit, dude. This is both good and bad because what it does is before this, there was probably like no cap. And it was like an amorphous concept of like how much overtime you could work a month. Now, what this has done is it's no longer a 40-hour work week. It's whatever the cap is. So let's say 720 hours per year, average of 80 hours per month, no more than 100 hours per month. Okay. Legal upper limits of overtime working hours are mandated by law, and overtime exceeding this limit will be prohibited. So includes work on days off. 45 hours per month. So essentially 100 hours per month. Essentially, you just overwork someone like month-wise. You haven't worked their normal 40 hours, so which is like a week, so is easy. So like 40 hours times 4 weeks in a month, 160, and then if you can't do 100 hours, you plus 99 hours. That's the new hours per month that you can work. So let's divide this by 4. And now your total time that you can work per week is 64.75 hours a week. Wow. Good job, guys. Really solving the world's issues over here.
The employer that hired this young girl ended up like implementing a change where they would turn off all the lights in the office at 10 p.m. in order to force people out, basically. And you think, okay, that's actually going to force them out. But what people did was they just got desk lamps instead. And after 10 p.m., they would just work by the light of desk lamp until their boss had left or until their boss had told them to leave. And naturally, they didn't reduce the workload. So, you know, the amount of work that was expected to be done didn't.
Like, what's the workload? What the fuck are these guys in office jobs doing? Are they like bending paper clips and like punching holes in papers, like one hole at a time, one piece of paper at a time? Like, are we just like hand shaving pencils? Like, what are we doing that these guys like refuse to go home? It's just a amorphous thing of like, it's work, it's got to get done.
Change. I read this article from the Pulitzer Center, which was like a deep dive into death from overwork in Japan. They talked to this guy, Kasagi, who's an employment lawyer, and he says that throughout his 10-year career as a lawyer, as an employment lawyer, Kasagi has dealt with 0 cases in which labor unions protested the unfair treatment of workers.
Yeah, because the thought of a union, making a union, doesn't even come across this as like a thing that it's not even an option. There's 2 things. There is something, there is nothing, and then there is it's not even in the person's mind. Like it's there, but it's ignorance. They don't. That's what a union is to these guys. It's not even anything.
The idea of conformity and of loyalty and respect is like so far gone that even the labor unions, who are supposed to exist as like a balance, like don't even do it.
Do they even have a word for a union? They probably don't even have a word for a union.
Anything, right? Part of it is because the workers themselves would be unlikely to raise it, but also the union doesn't seem to want that smoke either. To give Japan their props, I went through this white paper, this annual document that they publish on workplace deaths, and things seem to be getting better. The number of people in Japan who work more than 60 hours a week halved over the last couple of decades. The thing that makes this number a bit less relieving is when you realize how common illegal overtime is in Japan now. Because as we said, tradition often trumps the law in Japanese workplaces. The government over there carried out like studies of
like, have these guys never heard of like AI or robots? What the hell are these guys doing to warrant them staying for over 60 hours a week? We can't just get like a robot to do this type of job. But no, Cornel, you're going to take their jobs and
companies that they think perform illegal overtime. And they found that 44% of the something like 26,000 companies that they investigated had employees working illegal overtime. And that might not necessarily be captured in these statistics. One of the main issues with Japan and why this work culture still exists is that for a lot of their history, it actually kind of worked. In the 70s and 80s, Japan was a powerhouse. It was, the second biggest economy in the world, right? If you're like a Japanese boomer, you remember those
now
days
it's China,
where your really strict work culture actually delivered. And depending on what your memory's like, people will tend to have false memories. You might think that if you just went back to the days of the 70s and you kept the practices of the 70s more strictly, you'd be back to economic boom. They remember the good old days and they're like, we just need to do the same shit that we did back then. After a certain amount of time, there's going to be enough Japanese people who've only known Japan in the downward spiral. And so they're not going to be as willing to stick with the system. I don't want to complain when a government is actually taking action, because even if the action isn't necessarily as effective as it should be, it's worth noting that it can get a lot worse. And the way to realize that it can get worse is to look across the Sea of Japan at Japan's mortal rivals for many centuries now. And that is South Korea, just across the water.
Oh, geez.
Because they're one of the few countries that actually has a worse birth rate.
That's hilarious. Oh, my God. Bro, it's -1. It's under 1. Oh my God.
than Japan, and their response has been even less effective. In Korea, the 5-day work week is only like a generation old, so it was first introduced into the law in 2004, which is only 20 years ago. It was introduced as a 68-hour work week and then reduced in 2018 to 52 hours.
These guys are fucking actual losers. If you want to know the definition of a loser, it's right here. It's the leadership. And those charts don't lie. Okay? You're on the bottom. No one wants to have kids in your shitty ass economy. In your I gotta be careful. Oh man. Yeah, that's a loser mentality to me.
The president of South Korea, just last year, he suggested increasing the work week up to 69 hours in order to jumpstart the economy.
Oh my god, these guys are so retarded. Yeah, they want to work more. Yeah. Just let them work as much as they want. That's what they want to do. They want to live at a desk, live in a cage. That's the wage cage. The wagey. Yeah. That's how you'll get rich. That's how you'll free yourself financially. Live in the wage cage. Always ABC. Always be working.
This is in the country that has one of the worst birth rates in the world, right?
Wow.
So yeah, you can't be too mad at Japan for trying something, because over in South Korea, their strategy...
That's a fucking circus, if I ever seen one.
And their approach has been even less effective. More and more South Korean firms are telling executives to work more and to actually come into the office into the weekends. And
Samsung making executives work 6 days a week to inject a sense of crisis. Wow. What clowns that run the world.
Response to a slowdown in economic growth for these companies. The idea is that if executives can come into the office on weekends, then junior staff will feel pressured to join them too, which is already pretty rough. When you look at the Tokyo government program, the 4-day workweek being optional is a real big barrier. You probably would expect similarly low uptake as other optional 4-day workweek programs.
Japan's Panasonic joins global trend toward 4-day workweek. Oh wow.
It's also a program that offers condensed hours rather than reduced hours.
Yeah.
By which I mean the employees are still expected to work their standard number of hours per week, just across.
Yeah, that's retarded. So you fuck their sleep schedules up. You literally fuck their sleep schedules up, and you hope that those little 3 days is enough for them to like come back to like normalcy. But if you know anything about like sleep studies, that does not, it's not what happens. It's not like you lose hours from like one night of like fucked up sleep and the next night you just sleep more. That's not how it works. It takes multiple nights to recover from that like 1 or 2 extra hours that you were just up.
Across 4 days instead of 5. This is opposed to the 4-day work week that most actually seem to be pushing for, which is one where you work 32 hours, for example, instead of 40 hours, but you keep 100% of the pay and you're expected to do 100% of the productivity. Even the most optimistic
productivity. Like, why? Like, these guys don't even know that they're getting shit on. Like, why can't we get the robots to do this shit? We got Flippy to flip the burgers. Let's get Hole Punchy to punch the holes.
On this, appear to think that it'll just result in people working either from home on their day off or just working as much as they were before. Hence why they don't want to smash. What's written in labor laws does not...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want it either. Fuck that.
Always reflect the actual experience of employees. And it shows the limited impact that legal changes can...
And what's even funnier is that all of these like representatives for all of those countries where their birth rates are like in the dumpster trying to come to the table as if, oh, the economy's like fine, guys. The economy's fine. There's nothing to worry about. So now their goal is to try to uh figure out something to like raise the birth rates or whatever. And who knows if they're actually telling like the truth. You know, it's like, oh, just fudge this or whatever. Try to come up with some sort of different engagement metrics to like just make it so that the birth rate goes up.
Can have. In order for them to have impact, they need to be strict enough to actually overcome the pressures of adhering to tradition and expectation. And so for a 4-day work week to be a success, I think we would have to see it be legally enforced and legally required, at least for a certain time period. The change, I think, in Japan is going to happen when there are enough young people who've only experienced their country being in relative decline for their entire lives and have had very little success within the current system. And so I really feel like this is one of those things that has to get worse before it gets better, you know?
Yeah. And it sucks that it has to get worse before it gets better. Because a person created this problem, and a person in the right position can easily fix this problem. It's just that person is probably fucking retarded. Well, Godspeed, Japan and Korea. I hope your shit gets better. Thank you, Fads, for making that video. That was very revealing. But yeah, it sucks to spawn in Japan. It sucks to spawn in Korea. I am super thankful for at least spawning in over here in America. But yep, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.